Welcome back. So in the pots today, we have Woodland Retreat. And I got to tell you, after last night, we had about 2 inches of snow last night. So after last night, I am ready for a Woodland Retreat. This colorway is very warm, very bright, vibrant, and outside is very white and cold. So I felt today I need to warm up the pots. I need to warm up the colorways just to kind of get through this first little snowfall that's kind of putting a damper on things. It's wet, it's snowy, it's cold. And yes, I know I said inches. I'm Canadian. What does that work out to? Like 4 centimeters or something like that? We're kind of weird in Canada. We use a metric imperial hybrid system. So anyways, let's get to it. We've got the yarn in the pot. This is a DK weight base, so it's an 80/20 merino nylon base. We have added our soak in after the fact. There is probably a good cup of soak into this. Our soak consists of a shot of vinegar, a little bit of water. That allows our acid dyes to strike, hit this colorway, and remain vibrant. So, first thing we're going to do, we've got that ridge in the middle, and what that usually indicates is I'm going to put some lighter dye in the center, and I don't want these outsides to kind of take over. So, we've got a bit of burgundy red, burgundy purple, whatever you want to call it, on the right-hand side. This is beautiful. I don't know how else to put that. I absolutely love the burgundies. Those purples, those reds, they scream fall to me. So Woodland Retreat, there is an inspiration photo of a cabin in the woods in fall, in autumn. And it's very, very, gives that fall atmosphere to you. So on the other side of things, we've got some chestnut with some golden yellow in it. A little bit more chestnut than anything else, and we've added a little bit of charcoal to try and darken it up a little bit, pull away from that brown a little bit more towards the darker side of things. And in the center here, we're going to go with a nice vibrant yellow. Now, this isn't a sun yellow, this is actually a golden yellow. So sun yellow comes through as like a fluorescent highlighter if it's used all by itself. A golden yellow's just got this beautiful touch of oranginess to it, and really kind of makes the color feel better. I don't know how else to put it. If there was a bright yellow in here, it stands out by itself. That golden yellow just kind of blends in. So now this is a fairly saturated colorway. We've got lots of that burgundy on there, lots of that chestnut golden yellow. So we need to take and cook this off before we flip it, or that burgundy is going to destroy that yellow. So we've cooked it off for about a good 10 minutes on the one side. As you can see, there's lots of moisture on the lid of the pot itself, and that means we are pretty much there. You can see it. The water underneath is really, really clear. That dye has struck. It has set. We don't have a lot of bleeding going on, which is always a good thing, for sure. We're going to get these yarns flipped over, these skeins flipped over, create that same little ridge in the center here, just like so. And then we're basically going to repeat the same thing on the back side that we did on the front side, with the exception we're going to avoid that golden yellow. So we've got some more of that dark burgundy purple. This one highlights a little bit more towards the red side of things rather than the purple side of things. So it is just a little bit lighter on that side. And then across the left side here, we are, of course, going to put a little bit of chestnut. So this chestnut here, about the same shade as the front side. We have pulled a little bit more golden yellow into this. So we've got, as you can see, it's bleeding out there a little bit. We've got a little bit more orange to the tinge of that brown. Very beautiful. Plays very, very well with the front side. You always got to kind of keep in mind, how are your dyes going to play back and forth. With this gray, we're not going to absolutely destroy that yellow on the front side if this gray was to go all the way through, which, by the way, grays generally don't. Grays, especially a light gray, will strike very, very quickly, especially if you don't get it mixed in fast enough, and you're going to have a whole lot of white coming through. But that's okay. Gray is a way for us to add some color to the pot without actually adding some color to the pot. So we're just trying to take away a little bit of that white and add something a little extra in there. So we're going to cook this off. Because it's got a red in it and because it's got a golden yellow in it, we need to cook it for a good long while. So we've given it about a good 15 minutes. It is toasty warm in here. Yes, I forgot my gloves. I don't know why. These skeins are hot. very hot. But get them picked up. You can see there's just the tiniest little bit of that golden yellow coming through. Not much. Like, it is not really something that we need to take and worry about at this time. It will rinse out very, very well. So up next, we're going to take and skein these out, twist these out, I guess. Twisted hanks is what these are. So basically, you want to give the yarn a quick wrap. Make sure that all the ties are in the right place and that you don't have a piece of yarn that's happened to flip around and going the wrong direction on you. You can definitely tell if you look at the ties which direction that yarn is facing in the hank itself. And that makes sure that when you put it on a Swift and you're caking it up, you don't have an absolute mess, or, you know, it doesn't create some knots. So that right there was our fingering. Oh no, sorry, that was our worsted weight base. So that's 100% merino. Beautiful base to work with, very vibrant. I don't have any DK. This one here is our chunky weight base. It's got a lot of ties on it, so they tend to stick out, so it's a little bit extra work to take and tuck these in, but I think it's worth it. I really do. If you tuck these in, it really cleans up the skein. So I know, you know, it's not a necessity in any way, shape, or form. It is strictly for looks, and as soon as you open this up, it's going to be the exact same whether you tucked them in or not. So I just like to kind of tuck those in there, clean them up a little bit. This here is our fingering weight base. 80/20 merino nylon. This is one of my favorite bases to work with in the dye pots. To be honest, if I'm going to be using a hook, I will lean more towards the worsted weights than anything else. But in the dye pots, I really, really like how our fingering weight base turns out. So that's generally where I like to lean when I'm doing these videos, is our fingering weight base. All right, so got these twisted up, got everything pushed in. Let's get these into the light box and take a closer look. So first up, fingering weight base. You can see we've got those burgundies, we've got those browns, beautiful shades. Beside that, we've got our worsted weight base. You can see that the yellow's coming through just a little bit more. Now, these are from different batches, obviously, so there is a chance that just happened to be what that batch was doing. But I do find that the worsted and the fingering are usually pretty on par, and that chunky weight just really shines through. Next up, we are going to do a swatch. So I've shown how to do swatches a few different times on this machine. I'm not going to go too far into it, but while I was here, I just wanted to say this is absolutely mesmerizing. Watching this colorway just kind of whip around. Normally when I do swatches, I like to do them on our DK weight base. I decided today we're going to take and use the worsted weight. So it's a little bit heavier, and for whatever reason, this is just coming out absolutely stunning. It's a real good representation of what I had in skein form. And I love it. I really, really love it. I might switch over to worsted weight from now on. But anyways, let's just zoom in here a little bit, get a close look. This is what that swatch looks like. This is how those colors play. And I think they really play quite well together. So I'm going to cake up a skein here. Now this is our chunky weight base, which is 100% merino, filled with clouds. It is the softest base I have ever touched in my entire life. So fluffy, so wonderful. It is incredible. When it's wet, it's like working with a mop. But when it's dry, it is the most gorgeous thing I've ever touched, for sure. So our chunky weight base has 3 ties on it. 2 of them are just going to be ties. They will be single strings. You should be able to just cut them and toss them, like so. Same with this one. This should be a single. Cut it, pull it, toss it, done. Now this one here is going to have 4 strands in it. And if we pull it back a little bit, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, cut all 4. Now one of them is going to be a tie, the other 2 are going to be ends. Now pulling on this, I can see it is in the back of the skein. So I'm not going to use this one, we're just going to kind of tie it up. When this Swift is whipping around, if I left this loose, it would most likely get tangled up and just cause absolute havoc. Oh, I lost the end. There we go. All right, so this one we can clearly see is on top. Nice and easy. Let's get it into the caker here. So, first things first, get it wrapped around the guide. Want to pull a little extra, wrap it around. I usually like to have about 3-4 inches hanging over here, and that way I can kind of tuck this in behind here, and that way the center pole kind of stays where the center pole is supposed to stay. I'm not a big fan of center pulls on cakes, but I know some people are. I'm not going to argue with it in any way, shape, or form. I just find when the cake is just about exhausted that everything kind of falls apart, and it is quite horrid. Of course, I'm not going to make you sit through that. Power of editing. This cake is done. Now, this is our chunky weight base, so it's only 100 meters. It is fairly quick to get caked up, but I always like to pull off a few strands and then just kind of wrap it around here. It tends to hold everything just a little bit nicer if you can get, a good 5 or 6 wraps on there. Tuck the end in, make sure we push that center pull back in, like so, and we have this beautiful clean cake. Look at those colors, just that golden brown and that beautiful burgundy. Oh, I love it. We need to do some pairings. So up first, of course, we have Woodland Retreat. Now, to the right of that, we are going to toss a colorway that was a Halloween theme, actually. This one is Blood Magic. It's got that deep, dark burgundy in it. And, of course, next to that, we have Shadow Bloom. Pushes that same burgundy and a little bit of that dark gray. Now, on the other side, we have Harvest Haze, which is kind of leaning a little bit more towards the pink and purple side of things. Past that, we have Pink Petals, obviously, pushing our pinks. And then finally, I have I Don't Believe in Humans. Now, this is just one of those things. I don't know why it felt right, but just looking at this from left to right, it felt like I Don't Believe in Humans needs to be there. That blue really plays into the grays of this entire fade, and I love it. I really do. Now, over on the other side of things, we have a few semi-solid pairings. So, first up, Woodland Retreat, of course. Beside that, we have Longing for Lilac. Now, this one pushes a little bit more towards the purple side of things, which is kind of cool. And then beside that, we have Burgundy. Now, Burgundy really, really plays into Woodland Retreat. I find that those two are very, very stunning together. I think that would be a great pairing if you're only looking for 2. On the brown side of things, we've got Chestnut. We see a lot of Chestnut in a lot of my pairings. It goes with everything. And then beside that, we have Creamy Coffee, which pushes a little bit more into the orange of that chestnut. For reasons I don't really know, this one was screaming ruby red at me. And I know it doesn't really match, but it played so well that I had to throw it in there for a couple seconds just to see. I think if I was being safe, I would really kind of look at the hazel colorway. It plays a little bit better into that purple side of things. So it's got that brownie chestnut purple look to it, and I think it matches fairly well. Now, here we go. Big reveal, of course. If you haven't seen Woodland Retreat, the inspiration photo, I am blown away. This one is stunning. It was part of our yarn club back in the day, and there it is. Look at that. Beautiful cabin in the autumn woods. Just absolutely stunning colorway. I want to thank everybody for stopping by and watching this video. I hope you'll stick around and watch another one with me.